guys, so today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about Crested Gecko and Gargoyle Gecko care. The two are very, very similar. I'm sitting in front of my new Gargoyle Gecko Goliath's new enclosure. Dexter's enclosures is up here. So I wanted to start by saying that both of them are so easy. A lot of people will immediately list leopard geckos and bearded dragons as easy beginner pets, but I honestly think these two guys are much easier than both of the other ones. There's a cricket. Can you guys hear that? There's a cricket, I guess, that escaped into my bedroom. Both Crested Geckos and Gargoyle Geckos are from New Caledonia, which is an island. I think it's close to Australia. It's absolutely beautiful, but if you look at pictures of it, you'll notice that the trees are very, very, very tall. These guys like to live up in the trees. I know that the Gargoyle Geckos actually live a little lower in the trees than the Crested Geckos do, but they both are arboreal species. If you get one of these guys, please know that they will live 15 to 20 years. So they are quite a bit of a long-term investment. They live for a long time. When these guys are babies, they're gonna want to be in a 10-gallon tank. So a lot of times at reptile shows, vendors that sell Crested Geckos and Gargoyle Geckos will sell these little Tupperware plastic tubs that have a hole cut out of it, and there's a metal or a mesh screen over that, and it'll come with like a vine or two, and it'll come with the gecko food, and that's actually a really good starter enclosure for babies. With that being said, when they get older, they will need a bigger tank. When I brought my Gargoyle Gecko home, I put him in this 10-gallon because I already have an adult Crested Gecko who is now in an 18 by 18 by 24. He already seems much happier. He has room to jump around and move around, and he's gonna have a lot more to do as well when I get that filled with more real plants, which I still haven't ordered yet, but that needs to get done. But right now, he has a mixture of real plants and fake plants because they do have to have places to hide in those tanks, and they do love to climb. So I actually didn't know this when I brought Goliath home, but Crested Geckos have sticky pads on their feet, so they can climb up glass, and he can climb up his plastic, like they can climb the walls. But Gargoyle Geckos don't have those, they have claws. So when you're decorating for a Gargoyle Gecko as opposed to a Crested Gecko, just make sure that he has places to climb, because they do love to climb. I don't know if you guys can see him, he's right up there. He does absolutely love to climb, but he can't climb the glass. Now, I've read about some other people who said that their gargoyles could climb glass, but this guy can't. So I made sure to put a lot of branches and leaves and sticks and stuff in there so that not only does he have a lot of places to hide, but he also has places to hold on to and climb. Not saying that Crested Geckos don't need all those places as well, because they do like to hide, and they will hide in the daytime because they are nocturnal. Just keep that in mind when decorating for a Gargoyle Gecko as opposed to a Crested Gecko. And with either, you can put live plants in there. They both love live plants. It'll keep the humidity up, and if you do a bioactive setup, it'll keep you from having to clean the tank as much, and because the springtails and stuff will take care of that for you. Dexter is in a bioactive tank. Goliath is not. I'm sure I will eventually convert his over, but I'm going to wait till he gets a little bigger, just because the live plants take a little while to grow, and right now I want him to have as much hiding room as he possibly can because he is so small. These guys will be happy in room temperature, which is another thing that makes them so easy. I have noticed that they do prefer it to be a little warmer than room temperature, around 78 to 82. If you keep any kind of light on top, that's where they will hang out in the daytime. So I keep lots of plants up top, because this light, even though it is a little bitty light, it'll keep the temperature up there about 3 degrees warmer, 3 or 4 degrees, and he'll stay up there by the light hiding, and Dexter will stay by his light hiding. Dexter's light is a little bigger because it's made to grow plants, and it keeps the top of his tank at about 80, and that's where he sleeps all through the day. Temperature drops at nighttime are fine, so as long as you have some kind of light, you'll be fine. Or if that doesn't work, or if you live in a colder climate, or if it's wintertime, you can always get a heat pad and stick it to the side. Or you can do a ceramic heat emitter, just like a very low wattage one. I would suggest keeping it on a dome with a dimmer switch so that you can adjust it down, because if anything, you're only bumping up the tank a couple of degrees. If you plan on doing live plants in your tank, then you'll need a light anyway, so that'll be taken care of. Speaking of doing live plants, if you plant live plants in your tank, you'll need a substrate. If you don't have live plants, you don't have to worry about it. You can do reptile carpet, you can do paper towels. You can basically just do anything with these guys because they're so easy. He has Lugardies in the bottom of his just because I packed it down, and I just like the way it looks better with all the plants. And plus, it allows me to put a drainage layer in because you are going to spray their tanks down. They do like high humidity, and it just keeps it from, it just allows the tank to air out and it keeps it from molding over. But if you do reptile carpet, stuff like that, you don't have to worry about it. Dexter also has that drainage layer, and he is on ABG mix as a bottom layer for the plants, and ReptiSoil, which I bought from PetSmart. We're going to try that one. I was using just the cocoa fiber for his top layer to cover up the ABG mix, but I figured we'll try this one, see if the plants will grow a little better or whatever. Substrates like that are fine. You don't want to just go to the store and buy potting soil because that can have chemicals in it and it can hurt the bearded dragon. So just make sure that they're reptile safe soils or carpet or paper towels or whatever. You can even keep it just bare on the bottom if you wanted to. So humidity. These guys like a high humidity. What I do is I spray the tanks down once pretty heavily at nighttime, and that way it allows the water droplets to stay on the glass and the plants throughout the night so that they can drink water. And I let the tank dry down during the daytime, which actually only gets down to about 60 doing it that way. It does dry the glass and the plants throughout the day. You don't want to keep the temperature up too high for two reasons. Number one, it can make your Crested Gecko or Gargoyle Gecko sick. And number two, it will cause your tank to mold. You have to get it to dry out for the most part during the day so you don't have that mold. If you have a bioactive tank and you have springtails, they'll take care of some of it, but if you're keeping the tank soaked, it's going to grow way faster than they can eat it. And you can measure that humidity by buying a hygrometer from any pet store. They sell ones that can go in your house that you can use. I get mine from Amazon. I use basically the same one in all my tanks, which I will link down below. As far as food and water, like I said, they will drink water droplets from the tank and from their plants, and you can also keep a water dish in there. For both of my geckos, I use a magnetic Reptile Ledge. So it has the two spots in it. One I keep a water dish in, and one I keep gecko food. You're going to want to keep a water dish in there, even though they do drink the water droplets off the sides of the tank and off the leaves. I have seen my Crested Gecko drink directly from that water dish. And as far as food, you're going to want to feed them a powdered gecko diet. The two big ones are the Pangea and the Repticon. My Crested Gecko will only eat Pangea. I've tried to give him Repticon and he doesn't like it. So I stick with the Pangea, and they have all different kinds of flavors. Again, he will only eat the kind in the red envelope. You can also give these guys insects about once, twice a week if you want to. For a while, Dexter absolutely loved any kind of insects that I would put in there. He would go absolutely crazy. His favorite was waxworms and crickets. But then he stopped eating those, and now he just eats the Pangea. I still kind of try to offer him some every now and then just to see. Haven't offered this guy anything yet just because he's so small. I might offer him maybe a waxworm or two next time I get him. Just give him the small ones out of there. But when you do feed those insects, you want to make sure to dust them in a calcium supplement with D3 just to give them that extra calcium. The pre-mixed food will already have the protein from bugs. It'll already have the calcium and the vitamins. But when you mix that food, what you're going to want to do is you just put the powder into the plastic thing. I put Dexter's into a milk lid or a Coke lid. I put Goliath's directly into those clear dishes because he doesn't seem to like to drink out of the lids. But you just put a scoop in there and you put some water in. Make sure that you treat that water with ReptiSafe so that you get all the chlorine out of it. And you're just going to mix it up to whatever consistency your animal likes. Dexter likes it thicker and Goliath likes it more watery and runnier. I usually leave it in there for 2 days. Dexter prefers it on the second day when it's kind of even more thicker and it's been sitting overnight. I wouldn't leave it in there for any longer than 2 days though. Make sure you're changing it at least every other day. So these guys are easy to handle, but they are very jumpy. I've found that the Gargoyle Gecko is nowhere near as jumpy as the Crested Gecko. When you're handling them, you want to kind of do one hand in front of the other because it will leap from hand to hand, and if your other hand's not there, they will jump anyway. I have had Dexter jump onto my wall and almost scale my entire wall in my living room. So you want to make sure that you're just constantly leading them to your next hand. The Gargoyle Gecko doesn't really jump as much. He jumps a little, but he's nowhere near as flighty as the Crested Gecko. When they're babies though, you don't want to really handle them too much because they can get really stressed out, and if they get stressed out, they can drop their tail. Dexter, surprisingly, actually has never dropped his tail. He still has his, which is absolutely mind-blowing because he is scared of everything. I've literally watched him panic because something fell next to his tank and try to bury himself in the substrate. But once a Crested Gecko loses their tail, it is gone. They are officially referred to as frog butts, and it will not grow back. Gargoyle geckos actually can grow back their tails though. I actually bought Goliath here with a regrown tail. In the wild, it's actually really rare to find a Crested Gecko with a tail just because they do fall off so easily. So just keep in mind that if you have a Crested Gecko and it lost its tail or it didn't come with a tail, that's completely normal. They don't even cost different. Like if you get one with a tail as opposed to without a tail, the prices are the same just because it is such a common occurrence. So, keeping these guys together. You can keep 2 female Crested Geckos together if the tank is big enough, but you have to know that sometimes they won't get along, and if that's the case, they will stress each other out and you'll have to get them 2 separate tanks. You cannot keep 2 males together, they will fight, and Gargoyle Geckos, you cannot keep any of them together. They will actually fight to the death, they'll pull off each other's tails. A lot of times when people breed Gargoyle Geckos, a gecko will come out hurt at the end because they just don't like being around each other. And I think that's about it, guys. These animals are so easy to keep. I definitely wouldn't recommend letting children keep them just because if they get out, they're gone. Like, they will run away, they'll climb walls, they'll climb into the vents. So while they are very easy to keep, I would definitely make sure to supervise children around them. But I think that's all I got for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye.